yakanaka rufaro rwangu kunezuva rinopenya nimarepa sirapera nyika iyo yekenani ndinonisa kushikayo ndichaona zvakanaka zvenyikayo iri yangu ine dzimba dzagadzirirwa ini kokudenga tendiozo fambaneni kusangana kweukama diano tungamira munyikayo yerufaro nyikayo yekenani ndinorisa kushikayo ndichaona zvakanaka zvenyikayo iri yangu ine dzimba dzagadzirirwa ini kokudenga kunuhwira kwakanaka kunozobva kune miti nemaruva akanaka kune mvura yerupenyu nyika iyo yekenani ndinonesa kushikayo ndichaona zvakanaka zvenyikayo iri yangu ine dzimba dzagadzirirwa ini kokudenga denga rese rozarane nziyo dzakanaka kwazvo ngerozidzo imba pamwe ponechita chevatsvene nyika iyo yekenani ndinonisa kushikayo ndichaona zvakanaka zvenyikayo iri yangu ine dzimba dzagadzirirwa ini kokudenga nyika iyo yekenani ndinonisa kushikayo ndichaona Gadzirirwa ini kokudeka.
Welcome. Tinokuchingamidzai nemufaro mukuru hama neshamwari pachirongwa chedu The Journey of Life. Mukati mechirongwa Journey of Life, we share real life experiences and situations that people have been through. Our hope ndeyekuti lessons kana zvidzidzo zvakawanikwa nevamwe in whatever they went through zvinokwanisa kubetsera iwewe, zvinokwanisa kubetserawo inini, zvinokwanisa kutidzora, zvinokwanisa kutichenjedza, zvinokwanisa kutinyaradza kana kutikurudzira nekutisimbisa pane zvatinenge tichisanganawo nazvo. Saka nekuda kwaizvozvo, we learn and share not from theories but real life testimonies and experiences. Mukati mezuva ranhasi tine musoro wenyaya wekuti the experience of parenting children with autism. That's what we're going to talk about. Oh yes, I know it's not a familiar, topic or even terminology or term, but that's why we're here, so that we learn. In Indonesi, Watson Mbiriri, ndiri mfundisi, and I'm privileged to be the anchor of this show, The Journey of Life. So, ndinokumbira muti betsere kuchingamidza vatete vauya kuzova nesu pachirongwa. This is none other than Mrs. Mubvuta. Tinokuchingamidzai nemufaro unopfachuka zvikuru kwazvo pachirongwa chedu The Journey of Life.
Tinotenda nekufara kuva pano.
Tinotenda zvikuru mai Mubvuta. May you please tell us about yourself, who you are, and what experience you have that is relevant to our topic today.
All right. My name is Miss Mubvuta, or my Akatendeka, my favorite name.
Okay.
Yes, and I am a mother to 3 beautiful children, all of them diagnosed with autism, very 3. And I'm also a director to a school for children with autism, and I love the Lord.
Amen. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to learning so much. That sounds like a person with a lot of experience. And I'm sure I'm not the only one looking forward. There are many other people out there looking forward to learn from your experience and your situation and so on. So to begin with, tell us, what is autism? It's not something that we usually hear about. Sometimes it sounds quite exotic, like something zvinoitika kunyika dzevarungu kana kunyika dzinoita snow, maybe ndo kunoitika autism, but medu munomu kuti autism chii titsanangurirei?
Autism is a developmental disability.
Okay.
Yes, it's also termed as a behavioral disability. Yekuti mwana inotanga kuonekwa mwana achiri mudiki. Ane zvakawanda kana kuti ane challenges akawanda anofesa pakukura in terms of speech, in terms of behavior. Kusanzwisisa kuti zvinhu zvandokufana kuita at a particular time. In terms of diet, nyaya yechikafu. In terms of issues dzemasensories, senses edu, sense of sight, the sense of taste, sense of touch, senses edu generally, anenge asinga responde the way yatakajaira kana kuti the way yatinoti ndo iri normal.
Okay.
Yes, something like that.
So this is saka autism inozviratidza nenzira dzakasiyana kuvana vakasiyana.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Zvine chinozikanwa here chinokonzera kana kuti zvinosakurira kuti pave nema-developmental challenges akadaro kuvana? Is it genetic? Is it, what is it?
All right. So far patiri takango vakazviongorora vanongotaura kuti so far tingori pakuti zviri kukonzereswa nemagenetics. Ndo the only explanation.
Okay.
Yes. Iripo so far.
Saka asi zvinhu zvichiri kutsvakwa nekuedza kunzwisiswa kuti zvinofamba sei.
Yes.
Okay, ndofunga zvimwe zvacho tichazvibata patinenge tichienderera mberi. So in your experience, mati mune vana vatatu vese diagnosed with autism. Tell us, how did this come about right from the first one? Zviza makaona zvekuti makazoti panenge pane developmental challenge iri pamwana kana kuti uye maizoona sei rini and so on.
All right. Our first child, takamita 2012. Yes, and everything was normal. Atina kumboita dambudziko even during birth.
So the pregnancy,
okay. Everything was okay.
The birth process,
the birth process was okay. Ndobva pazvarwa milestones ake akafamba nenguva, akakwanisa kudya ega, haana kumbobvira aita dambudziko.
Mwanayu
mukomana. So achikura kudaro, I think akuma around 9 months, taimutora mavideos tichichengeta zvezvokuzongorangarira kuti at this stage aidai so kana kuzomuratidza zvatinoita kana akura ndiwe uyu. So at some point taimuratidza. So he used to enjoy a particular video yaanga kutotedzera zvaanenge achiita imomo. Kuti akadonha anobva adonawo.
Okay.
Ndobva I think now takuziva zvatakuziva, patinorangarira totanga kupika kuti paya paidai so, because aitedzera nemo paanoseka pavideo aibva asekawo, paanodonhera pasi obva adonhawo, paanomuka omukawo, paanoombera oomberawo. So being our first child, atina kunyanyoona kunge there was anything wrong.
Okay.
It was just he likes this video and he imitates what he's doing in the video. So but nekukura 1 year 2 years aifanira kunge akutaura. He was quiet, haasi kutaura. 3 akutanga kubuditsa masounds. So zvaita aiti ukamuti yes obva ati uri right here, you know, and people would like, asantaura Chinese, you know, and would laugh at it. Kuti hameno zvaari kutaura uyu, ukamumhoresa. He would respond, but no one would know what he's saying.
Okay.
He would be just blubbering and then would laugh until it became something of concern. Kuti nekufamba kwenguva. Mwana ane 3 years, mwana asati akuita sei kutaura. He would enjoy watching TV. Dzimwe nguva akagara paTV, anenge achitotedzera zviri kutaurwa paTV. But haataure kuti mama, haataure kuti daddy, haataure kuti sadza, like the basic words that you'd think at that stage. Drink, you know, biscuit or something, cookie, he would never say, but he could recite what was coming on the TV.
Verbally. He
would even, like his favorite cartoon was Joseph the Dreamer.
Okay.
So he would watch it to the extent he can even imitate what they are doing. What he was doing back when he was 9. Joseph akapushidzirwa nemabrothers akakadonhera pasi, iye aidonherawo pasi. Akasimuka achibata kumeso, aisimukawo achiita sei? Achibata kumeso. So he was imitating. He would even say some of the words. You know, don't do this, you're hurting me. He would imitate those things, but angasingataure neso. You would try kuda kumengage, even calling him. There's an age, I think around 1 year, ukadedza mwana, even akasati yeye, anocheuka kuresponda kuti mandidedza, angasingacheuke. You would try to make all the noise, kusvikira takuti chimbobhenga doti nzwe kuti
a sense of hearing
arikunzwa here.
Okay.
And he would respond kuti dora benga.
Okay.
And nekuramba tichidaro ndopatakazo trya vanhu vakutaura zvakawanda pamwe muri kumushandisira chirungu, why don't you try using shona. Vamwe vakauyawo vakati kwamuri kugara kuna vana, why don't you come and stay pane vana vakawanda kuti akasike kubata language. And we did all of those things. They never worked. He was still quiet. Instead, akasvika pane vana vakawanda, he would rather be playing on his own not with other children. Then we also noticed,
So it's kind of like a loner.
yes,
Okay.
ari pake ega, and we would try to push him back to the crowd. Dzokera chimbonotamba nevamwe, you know, even ari pakati pevamwe haasi kuita zviri kuitwa nevamwe, ari kuita zvake ega. So achikura kudaro, I think around 3.5 thereabout, baba wacho akati no, kana ari kufarira TV ngatichiisei zvinhu zvinodzidzisika, rhymes and everything. He did the same thing. He would imitate, he would know the colors, he would know the letters. Akaona kana box cereal, anogona kutoverenga cerevita CE, RE, you know, TIVA, you know, like, but how can you be able to say all these things and not be able to call me, not be able to say mama, daddy, uya?
Okay.
You know, so it's something chaiti shungurudza. And I remember at one point atezvarangu akati murora reti iri kufamba nemwana uya anosvika 5 years asingatauri. Ndikabatikana kuti how can he say that? You know, what is he trying to say kuti mwana wangu hatauri here? What is he trying to say? You know, but it ended up being true anyway. So ndobva tazomuendesa ku creche, a certain preschool, ari ikoko, we met a child who was like our child. Vaitamba vese vasiri kune vamwe vana but vari pavo vega. You know, and I asked kuchikoro akati, yeah, they do the same thing. They don't like to play with other kids.
Okay.
They play vari pavo vega, but they won't be together, but they are together.
They're not doing the same thing.
Yes.
They're doing different things, as very away from everyone else, and they have their own corner.
Exactly.
Which they create for themselves.
Yes.
Okay.
And so I made an effort yekuti ndiwonane the parent with that child. And when I saw that parent, he confirmed, zvese zvandaitaura, anofarira TV, anofarira, you know, basic things that we were experiencing at the same time. So someone akabva advisor Eva kuti, why don't you go and get your child assessed? It's not something we had heard isusu personally, kuti you can go for an assessment or things like that. So Eva, they went there, they got their child assessed, and they came back to us wakati, no, we've assessed our child and autism. You know, and then I'm thinking, autism, you know, wediroro arina kunditira rinyowan. Then going back memory lane, I realized I had watched a movie, you know, the Temple Grandin, about a girl who had autism, but it was a good movie for me because at the end of the movie, she excelled in whatever it is that she was doing. So ndovatayendawo isusu for assessment, that was ku annex. It's for free. Yes, you just make a booking, then they give you a date, move a maenda, they see your child, they ask you a few questions, then they give you an assessment. And I was very relieved because at least now...
at least getting to know what it is that you are dealing with.
Exactly.
That it has a name.
Yes.
There's a name to it.
Yes.
Pane kungoti mwana haasi kutaura, ari kuzvitsaura pane vamwe, and then all this imitations ari kuita ari, you know, pa TV. And so it was a relief.
It was a
to
relief
know
to know
what it is that you were dealing with.
Yes, it was.
So basically, did it follow the same pattern for the other two also? Vane zvimwe zvavakazouya nazvo zvakasiyana?
Ava vakauya nezvavakauya nazvo zvanga zvakati siyanei. But ne research yatanga taita, it enabled us to see it coming. Yes, like for example, walking on their toes.
On toes?
Yes, like kutomanya. Yes, kutomanya imba yese achitenderera on their toes. You know, you could...
Was it
for the second child?
The second.
Now. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And
that's a daughter?
That's my daughter. And she would struggle with a lot of things. And sometimes you would fail to understand Kujichi. She would cry for hours, for hours. One time she cried kubva kuma 8 dzemanheru. Akazonyarara around 3-4 dzemakuseni. Non-stop. You could try everything. Omubvisa hembe, omupa paracetamol, non-stop. Then with my first child, routine yaitibatsira kuona zvakawanda. Every time we say let's pray, everybody's quiet, our hands are together.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how angry, no matter how crying, how for how long he's been crying, just say, let us pray. He will stop.
Mm.
Muchungoti amen. Usimdzira kuchema.
Oh.
With this one, none of those things worked.
Mm. So this was different.
This was a whole different. Shoguti, even most of the researches that we made, zvikatishandira pane our first child, kuzvitora kuzviisa here,
Mm-hmm.
it was a different thing altogether. It
Mm-hmm.
did not work.
Mm-hmm.
We had to start again,
Trying
to figure out
Okay, okay.
what do we do, how do we deal
It's
with this.
Totally different
It was
case.
a totally different case.
Wow. So while you're dealing ne yekutanga, now you have to learn how to handle this one also.
Yes.
The second one.
The second one. And it was quite an experience. It was quite an experience. And they're very hyper. They struggle with sitting down.
Okay.
And here you have two children, maybe you're in church, and they are everywhere. And
Restless.
people are looking at you like, why can't you get them to sit down? And you're like, I'm trying, can't you see? You know? And, some would just come and say, inini maimvuta ndinorova. Just to tell you that hauskurova vana.
Okay.
They are spoiled.
Kuti vangu ndinorova.
Vangu ndinorova, hakudzoti
Kujaidzwa.
rova vako. Vangu inini maimvuta ndinorova vana. And ndikamurova ka1, anobva atonzwa. And inini, well, I had realized with time kuti ukamurova haatize. Anouya pauri kuzoungana pauri. Zvekuti it ceases to make sense. You want to, I think kurova, we are sort of like instilling fear in our children so that next time ukamuti ndokurova, anoziya kuti shamu, they would not run away, they would come to you, they would cling on you. Ukada kumurova notoya kuzobatirira achichema kuratidza kuti no ndikuzvinzwa kuti muri kundirova. But maybe I don't know that I'm supposed to run away.
They can't process it.
Exactly.
Kurowa.
Kurowa kwandiri kuita.
Wow.
So it didn't work. I had to look for other ways of communicating my feelings or my frustrations to them.
Disapproval, your censure.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And
So with the third one, was there something distinct? The third one is a boy.
The third one is a boy. Well, the third one, his development was a bit different because by the time he was 2, he was talking.
Oh.
Mama, dada,
That must have been very encouraging
that
to you.
That was very encouraging. And then he gets to 3, he started losing those words.
Oh.
He lost them. He stopped saying mama, stopped saying daddy, and just went quiet.
Oh.
And then, well, from the research, we knew that it was possible. And it happens that they can start talking, and usually at 3, they lose the words. And we're like, okay, so we have a third diagnosis in the family.
Oh.
So, yeah, that's what happened there.
Yeah, so this is quite a situation, as parents, you're facing each other and you're facing this situation. I can imagine that there are so many challenges that come with that. My challenge is, I'm not saying now, imimi as parents.
Yes.
Muri pachezwenyu mumba nevana.
Yes.
And there also could be challenges maybe that you've encountered outside of the immediate family circle.
Yes.
In society, maybe at church, you have hinted at some of those. But is there anything else to add? Among my challenges, anosanganikwa nawo being a parent wemwana ane autism.
Yes. It's also we were very fortunate. Kuti what mattered most to us was standing together, me and my husband. In all of this that was happening, in researching, looking for movies that would help us define autism.
You were doing this together? We
were doing this together. We would sit down, we would watch, and we'll say, no, my child doesn't do that. And it's like, no, he does. But no, he doesn't. It's like, you're forgetting that particular incident, And then when you go outside and you find people who are judgmental, you come back home you're frustrated, you're angry at the world for failing to understand what you're going through.
So in other words, it's no longer just mwana and a challenge.
No.
As a parent
Yes.
also,
Yes.
the world also cannot understand
Yes.
maybe, or
Yes.
misinterprets the whole situation.
Yes.
And you also get frustrated.
Yes. I remember someone came to me at one point and she said, verse 43. And I'm like, yes. She can say, saka ropa renyu neremurume wenyu haripindirani kene. And I'm thinking, did you even think before you said what you said? I didn't say that. I just thought it. Like, how could you say something like that? So over time, we learned to forgive them. We learned that they don't know what to say. They realize they should say something.
Something, but what?
But what? They don't know. So in as much as maybe I would go home and I would tell my husband I'm crying. People are questioning my skills as a parent. They are telling me I'm not doing things right. And, he would tell me, do they have autistic children? And I'm like, no. I was like, so how do you expect them to understand? You are supposed to help them understand. They don't understand. He still is that strong pillar. That one person that even Shikaitika Mauksen, I would wait for him to come home because he was the only person who understood what I was going through emotionally. Even, taimboita hope kurara tichirota vanoenda vachitaura. And he would wake up and it's like, nasindarota sisi vachitaura. And it would really break our hearts, but we could laugh about it at the same time. Kuti urukutorota achigere chimbomsiya kadaro. So it would help us to joke even about these bad things. And it would help us even to celebrate the little things like potty training. It's something chinongoita come natural. With our kids, it's a struggle. So it would go through prayer before we start. Potty, kuti Mwari, we've come to that part, that scary part everybody's always crying about. And Mwari would reward us. 1, 2, 3 days, reach 4, atojaira system. We realized kuti you can't just say it, you have to do it. Tora mwana upinda naye mutoilet, wogara patoilet, woita zvaunoita, womuratidza kuti wona izvi ndo zvandaita, ndakuflasha, now it's your turn, chimbokwira ugare. Sometimes wongogara, like I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Then the next day, the third day, wotona munhu atogara patoilet, atoita zvaita, we flash, we celebrate. I call him from work, you won't believe what happened. Sisi vaitira woti, and he would celebrate arikoko bashika. He's happy. Well done, my boy. Well done, my girl. Achimsimuza. You could feel that I'm not alone in this. We are together in whatever it is that is happening with our children. So isusu tiri too. I don't want to lie. Mwari vakati pasimba rekuita go through. But you would find some people would come. Vanzwa situation yangu for counseling. Maybe they just got their diagnosis. Then you would realize, or maybe they haven't even gotten a diagnosis.
Okay.
But
my parents are never now.
Mama ndo vari kutoona kuti zvinhu zvaitaurwa namai mvota nezviri kuita mwana wangu zvakaita sei zvakafanana. And they go kuna baba, and baba is saying, no, my child doesn't have a problem. Father is in denial, does not even want the child to get a diagnosis. Kuti tizive kuti chi. Which I understood. It's zvinochikisa. It's like all the dreams that you ever had for your child, they're just crushed. You're being told, kuti you might never have murora. You might never be able to take them to those prestigious schools. Now you have to look for a special. It's scary. And I remember Ndichitoverenga, which I experienced myself, kuti when you get that diagnosis, you go through a mourning process. Because that child that you had in mind is not there anymore.
Okay, there's a different reality.
A different reality.
And you have to deal with that. Yeah, and making it more challenging, kind of as it 2, 3, and so on.
Yes.
That's difficult for any mother.
Yes. So that was isusu tiri two. Then you bring
You,
the...
you know, before we move from that part,
Uh-huh.
yeah, this is something, and I'm sure a lot of viewers are also saying, Mr. Mvuta should have been here on the set. And so on, wherever he is, Mr. Mvuta, we just want to salute you.
Yes.
Yeah, because munoona kuti panoitika ma-challenges mukati medzimba. Vamwe vana baba ndo patinotobuda kunoita unhubu hwakasiyana-siyana.
Very true.
Pane dambudziko takutonowedzerawo rimwe.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Nedzimwe nzira dzakaita dzakadaro. Asi toda kutenda zvikuru. And munoziva, I think tichimbori ipapo mai Mubvuta. Pamataura kuti unenge uine picture yekuti mwana wangu achazodai. Kune vari kuona chirongwa vasati vapinda mumba, vasati vane vana, and so on. You know, expectations may not always match the reality.
Yes.
I want you to speak to vakomana nevasikana vari kuona chirongwa about uyezve nemhiko dziya dzatinoita tichiti for better or for worse pamuchato. You know, kuti ndo zvimwe zvinhu zvinogona kusanganikwa nazvo. And kana zvauya ngazvisaite sekuti hameno zvaitika. You know, I don't know if you have a word for vakomana nevasikana vasati vapinda mukati mesvitsa.
Yes. I'll tell you one thing. When I got married, I was always asking God, what is my purpose? Hamungangondisike mondigadzika panyika for no apparent reason. And when I got this diagnosis, kwandiri, that was an answered prayer. God had showed me that this is your purpose to raise these children. So sometimes in life, zvinhu zvauri kutarisira kuti ndo zvichaitika might not be what you are presented with. It's God's plan. He's got a plan for you. And it's either you get into the plan of God or you run away. And I tell you, ukapinda muurongwa hwaMwari zvichienderana nezvaakutendera kuti uone muupenyu, be rest assured, God will give you the strength to deal with whatever it is that you are facing. I can testify. God can do that for you. Wow. So it's not really about what it is that you planned and what you're going to do with your life. It's what it is that God wants of you. And if God allows that to happen, it's still okay. You say, peace, be still, and you wait and see the hand of the Lord.
Powerful words. Thank you so much for those words. So let's talk about Mataura issues like to do with, of course, I think Mamchida could say beyond imimi as husband and wife. You wanted to touch on something. I want to talk after that about kuenda kwevana kuchikoro and whatever. Yes. So beyond the immediate family circle.
Right. We have the family, the brothers, the mothers, our mothers. They would struggle.
I can imagine.
Yes.
I can imagine.
They would ask questions like, Mwari say mwana wangu abva shabva zvadai. And I want to thank God kuti vakatipa simba rekutova isusu their pillars. Kuti no, don't worry. You know, you say, uye anza ane autism. You know, what is autism and everything. And then you come back and say, ne uyu futi. Then you come back and say, ne uyu futi. So you could tell kuti vakabatikana vakarwadziwa naturally kuti sei mwana wangu zvabva zvanyanya dai so. And whatever it is that they were saying, sometimes you'd hear things like, kune vanobatsira vamwe vasingatende zvatinotenda kuna pastor vechurch kwedu. You know, even vasikana vebasa, they would come, maybe vanopindawo postori yavo vobva vasvikawo kumba voti mama maprofit kwakuchechi hanzi ndiri kuona pane vana hanzi uyai navo. So you realize with time kuti all these people, whatever it is that they are doing it because they love you. Unogona kugumbuka. Why are they being like this? They are doing it because
they love
you.
They
love
care
us. They care about their children, isusu, even in nevazukuru vacho. And then you would go to church, as I had mentioned, kuti some people vanenge vachitotamburawo nezviri kuitika. And I'm always telling people kuti ngatisaremedzei vanhu tisingavaudzi. what it is that our children are struggling with.
Okay.
Yes. Just go out and say, my child has got Down syndrome. My child has autism. Zvinorerutsira vanhu. When you are quiet, vanotambura kuti chii?
Kutadza kurayira here
Vari kutadza kurova mwana here? Kuti hazvinganamatiriwe zvikapera here? So when you come up in the open, inini I do that and I raise awareness as much as I can. Ndikapinda mukombe kwaita munyama wekugara pasaidi pangu makadii, ndinonzi mai mubvuta. Pane chinhu chinonzi autism. Makambonzwawo nezvacho here? Chii ichocho? I make sure by the time you get off mukombe, pauchaenda uchasvika kuti ameno zvimwe zvazvitaura nevamwe mai. Yes, you know, when the time comes, you'll be able to harvest that information. Yes.
So, how old are your children now, my Muvuta? And then, panyaya yekuenda kuchikoro. We're talking about challenges and it mumuri, and then even ku church and the wider society. Ko panyaya yekuenda kuchikoro. How has it been and how old? Vapa stages akaita sei vana?
All right. So, my first child, upon realizing that he could read.
Oh, okay.
Yes, he actually started reading before he could speak. He could communicate. I think that my TV zvaiona izvozvo zvaimubatsira pakabuda maybe Humpty Dumpty panotanga panyorwa kunzi Humpty Dumpty. Then I realized he has a visual mind. Like he takes a picture of a word or zvanengaona, he can replay it. Akaruona elsewhere, anokwanisa kuripika.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Saka you could even just write Humpty and ask him what is this. He could just look at it and say that is Humpty. Yes. So Ari in that stage, and we didn't even know. I like this part. We didn't know that he could read. So one day the father was reading the Bible, and he takes the Bible and he was Old Testament, and he was like, Jesus. I just flip on my pages. Jesus, Teddy, where is Jesus? You know, I just flip on my pages. You know, and the father, ndova kakaska kuzvipika. But no, Jesus hawanikwe ku Old Testament. Let me show you. Ndobva amuvhurira ku New Testament. Paakaona the word, the name Jesus, akafara. Teddy, Jesus. And my father's like, iwe, mwana unoverenga. And I'm like, no, that was just a coincidence. He's too young to start reading. And he's like, try him. Sure. Ndobva takutsvaga mawords aanosimboona. You write them down. He recognizes it. You write it down. He was 4 at this stage. Then ndopatakazoona nema-challenges ataiface kuti I think the best thing we can do for our kids is to homeschool them. Yes. So
yes. Before you go to that homeschooling part, it's a juicy part I want you to, you know, but what you've just said kind of like register something in my mind.
All right.
Yeah, because I've watched some documentaries on these people they call the savants.
Yes.
I'm not sure if it's related to autism, but these are people with, some of them with amazing capabilities.
Yes.
Yekuti munhu anogona kuita just a minute or two achingotarisa maybe skyline yeHarare, city skyline, and haasati ambosvika muHarare, but angoiratidzwa ka1 in 2 or 3 minutes, ongoitarisa, anokwanisa kudrowa to scale everything nema-windows ari pama-buildings. Kwete ngoti iyi building ine ma-window, but the exact number and the positions, not of one building, the whole skyline. And then some of them that I've seen, you know, in these documentaries, they could see whatever they read, they won't forget. And some, whatever happens from a day, or from whatever day, some of them is after an accident, then they get into this, they don't forget. They'll tell you the weather, they will tell, I mean, the different kinds, some of them super brilliant in mathematics. And I've seen some of them being employed in computer companies as programming. And they are not able to socialize very well. Saka my rooms are on a low light, very quiet. They just work in silence and things like that. It's kind of like sort of
It does.
Relating to what you're
Most
talking about
of those
here.
people are actually autistic.
Mm.
Yes, Autism are autistic savants.
Oh, it's autistic savants. That's the full
Yes,
term.
Yes,
Oh, I see.
for some.
For some.
Yes, for some.
Okay.
So, yeah, even if you watch movies zinechekuita autism, that's how they portray it.
Oh.
In as much as there are some who face a lot of challenges, they struggle so much that they would need help for the rest of their lives. Zvichingodependa nekuti anozvarirwa ari pa there's sort of like a scale.
Okay.
Yes, could maybe you're either mild or classic.
Oh.
Or pakati papapa.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's what makes each
those
person different.
differences.
Exactly.
Oh.
So
homeschooling.
Homeschooling.
Yes.
I wanted to know what to do, so we decided I leave.
I mean, why did you decide on homeschooling? Why not take them to the regular school? Had you tried?
All right. So what happened is, before atombotanga kwenda kuchikoro, ndakabva ndatanga inini.
Oh.
Preparing for school ichazoya kumberi. Apanga kungoenda ku ECD.
Okay.
Yes. So ari ikoko ndiri ku attachment. I met a lot of children that I could pick personally kuti zvinoita mwana uyoyo ari kundiratidza traits autism.
Okay.
And I realized that those children were very intelligent. The ones that I was able to help were in my class. But I didn't like the way teachers would react to vana ivavo. For example, a child might struggle with control your voice projection.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
They cannot.
Very irregular.
Anotodedzesa. Like
Okay.
munhu ane ma-earphones vamutaona munhu anenge akaisa ma-earphones haakwanisi kuregulata anenge achitobhita volume yaari kunzwa
kuti azvinzwe iye owedza kuregulata but too high already.
So that's what they would do. Like tiri pa-assembly, everyone is quiet, munobva amutsika, they'll just erupt. You know, why are you doing? And everybody would stop and stare. The teachers would start laughing and they would say, mukabvunza vabereki vanokuudzai zvavakaita pamwana uyu. I got offended.
Okay.
Because I was thinking, sando zvinochiitwa mwana wangu ari kuchikoro kwaari. You know, not that all teachers are like that, but you know, maybe these particular teachers, some were very understanding, trying to figure out kuti why is this child like this. Saka from then, and then nekuzoona kuti most teachers didn't know about autism. Don't know. Yes.
Yeah,
So
I can imagine.
yes, saka izvozvo zvokuti they don't know, I had to go to them, give them my researches, give them methods. Why don't you try this?
Okay.
You know, before you go for assembly, 2 days before, tell him, we're going to go for assembly on Friday. This is on Wednesday.
Okay.
We're going to go, and when we go to assembly, I want you to do this and that. I want you to be quiet, and I want you to run around. Thursday, tomorrow we are going for assembly. This is what I want you to do. And Friday, when we go for assembly, he's calm.
Oh.
What other struggles are you facing? He doesn't want to write his maths. What does he like? He likes cars. Let's do maths using cars.
Oh.
You know, instead of just 1 + 1, you draw 1 car plus this car. What is that? I say, how many cars do we have? 2. So if we take 1 car and 1 car, we put them together, what do we get? We get 2 cars. Well done. Things like that. So it took more effort for the teacher.
Yeah, it's a lot of effort.
That's a lot of effort.
It's a lot of effort.
Exactly. So I'm thinking, if my child is going to be struggling like this, isn't it better for us to homeschool him? If he's going to face, because the teachers would know, Mamvuta, I understand what you're talking about, but look, I've got a whole class. How can I be drawing cars?
Honestly.
For one particular child. I will try, but...
Yeah. It's not an easy situation for any teacher.
Exactly.
It's not.
So, well, if they are going to struggle like this, it's not that this child is not intelligent. It's the teaching methods that the teacher is using
that are not suitable
for
to their
child.
kind of intelligence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that moment akangobata chino, it's a done deal. Takutoenda by the next level.
Okay.
All things being equal, can I add that kind of, especially that particular child that I'm talking about, within half a year anenge apedza grade 1. The other half arikupedza grade 2. That's how smart he was. But he had challenges. that if addressed, mwana igona kubatsirika. That's what made us decide, let's homeschool these kids. So in the process of...
Yes,
yes.
so that part, by professionally, you were not a teacher.
I was not yet a teacher then.
You were not yet a teacher?
Yes, I was on attachment.
On attachment as a...
As a teacher.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. But you had started out as a marketer?
Yes.
Career-wise. And
yes.
So you had to have a change of career?
Yes, it's something that we came to decide, me and my husband.
Okay, to manage this situation.
To manage the situation.
Okay.
Yes, yes. And after that, he was, my son, struggling to write. His hands were weak. But he could read.
Okay.
So we're trying to figure out how best can we help him. We need to do something. Went on the internet, did our research. They told, you read stuff, look for bubble wraps. You do exercises, make him open the door, make him carry 5 liters of water, make him all these things that we were trying to do with him. And Tadaro, they worked.
Okay.
One day,
so it's like working on his muscles?
Oh, yes, on his fine motor skills.
Okay, fine motor skills. Okay.
So one day, he's making noise in church. I give him a pen and a paper. I'm like, just do something. You're urgita noise. Just do something. And he does the most amazing thing. He writes the names of all his class members. And he's like, he was so excited. That was the first time he ever wrote. We had gotten to a point where we were saying, we'll just maybe buy a computer, get him to write on a computer. At least he doesn't have to have that pencil grip. He doesn't. But this particular day, I just give him pen and paper. Written noise, just write something.
Okay, be busy with something.
Just be busy. That's when he wrote members. I still have that. He sees it and he gets excited. I couldn't discard it. It was Kwandiri. It was that one miracle, one of the many miracles that I kept seeing. He was so excited. Mama, look, this is Jonathan. He wrote the whole name. Mama, Michael. Mama, Ninyasha. And I remember I was so excited. I went to the preschool teacher, and the preschool teacher was like, you don't know your son. The other learners don't even know their names. He knows their names. He takes all the books, he distributes them. He knows, he reads, this is Michael's book. He goes to Michael, he gives it to Michael. I'm like, you're lying. It's like, I'm telling you. He was in ECD then. So we're thinking, okay, if he's able to do that, okay, let's push him into the mainstream, and see what happens there.
Okay.
And then the other 2, we can homeschool them at home, since they were showing to face more challenges than he was.
Okay.
Yes. So I go to the class teacher, I explain my case. If you're an autistic mother, you're always knocking on doors. They know you, that there is my Mfutai. She's always here. If she's got any challenges, she will come back to school, So first time meeting, nice to meet you. My child has autism, but he can read. And she's like, why are you teaching your child? I didn't teach him to read. He taught himself. No. Because, she was all everywhere. And I was like, okay, I know this. I've read about this. I just calmed down and I say, okay, and they say, sure, after some time, a month, he called me. Can you please come back? I think we need to talk. I came back. What is it that you said? You said he's got what? And what is it? Is it that he's got too much intelligence? What's, So I had to explain and everything. And we decided to leave him in the mainstream. The school was also Adventist run. Okay. So you could always come back. You could always communicate. And if there are any challenges, and the numbers were very small, and they sort of created a family within the classroom, so everybody would have his back. Whatever challenges that he faces, if maybe they're playing a game and he doesn't understand, he gets frustrated, they would sort of, okay, akachuya wheat, and I liked that. It was very good for him. But for the little girl, it was a different story altogether. Everything that worked, even Nanasi, we are still struggling with her hands. Everything that we did there, we tried here, but
it's different.
It's different.
Wow. So challenging.
Yes. And then we decided we are homeschooling them. And then it just dawned on me. you know, getting a school for a child with autism is not an easy job. It's hard. Most of the schools that are there, most of them, they are quite costly for some children. Some can afford, which is good, but some can't.
Yeah.
So my husband was like, okay, fine, we are trying to do this, but we need to make a living at the same time. How about we have a center that we can homeschool children who are like that? At the same time, homeschooling our children. Then we looked for therapists because, well, that's what we do usually when you have autistic child. They need occupational therapy, they need speech therapy, they need behavioral therapy.
Okay.
Yes. So we wanted a scenario where the therapy is not just a session.
Okay.
It's a full day. Whatever it is that the therapist recommends.
Are these supposed to be part of the school staff, or
No.
they are consultants?
They were
Support.
consultants, exactly.
Okay.
They would come, they would assess our children, they would tell us, you know, this child, you need to work on A, B, C, D, you do this, you can do this, you can do that. You know, he needs my hours a day, I cheated this particular thing to be able to help him with that.
Okay.
Yes. So the thing is, they were quite expensive for us because maybe one therapy session would cost you like $50 for maybe 30 minutes, 2 hours. It was expensive. And we realized that there were a lot of other parents like us who could not afford that. Yes. So we decided if we can have them come, consult, we take whatever recommendations they make, they are part of the school system. Part of what we do, if we are learning, if it's colors, they are part of what we are doing.
Okay,
Yes.
incorporating it into the
exactly.
activities
yes,
and sort of,
yes.
okay.
So that's what we did. And yes, we were able to start that project. We had children coming. I think now we are housing about 16 children, yes, with autism. And it's been very, very helpful for parents, even for Isusu. It's been therapeutic for me. Yes, I enjoy doing that. I celebrate
and
with
I
the
can
parents.
imagine that you know, the parents who bring their children to your school, knowing that you have your own children and you are a mother who has experienced this, I think it gives them a high degree of comfort and, I mean, assurance that our children will be treated right.
Yes,
and so on.
Yes. And
so,
it's happened that most schools that help children with autism, they are run by parents who have children with autism. It's like there was a gap in our country. Yes, something that was not addressed. In as much as the government is trying, you know, but paizongosaririra here and there, and they were able to help to come in. So of late, there have been many schools that have actually come up. Yes, including our school. Yes, and we have really been grateful for the support that parents are bringing into helping other children like that. Yes.
Yes, so that, that's really, you know, something important, that challenge, turning it into, you know, a platform for ministry and reaching out to others. Instead of wallowing in tears of self-pity and, you know, I wish I had different children and so on and so on, but it's a point. So these children are gifted and they are capable, but differently.
Yes.
And it needs patience and a lot of, I mean, you have been researching a lot.
I have. And I've been going to God a lot. I think that's what changed my spiritual life. I went to people, I couldn't find answers. You know, people would say, I'm not sure, you know, maybe you should try this. Some would blame me. Then I just got to a point where I realized, Kuti, the one person who can understand
is God.
Is God.
Only God.
Only God. I would have episodes. Kuti ndinogona kustruggle in the future. You just unozvikwadza musoro mako uchifunga kuti okay, we are talking of puberty, adolescence. What's going to happen? They struggle with this. How are they going to cope with that? Then you're anxious. Oh, by just thinking. And I would go to God, and God would answer me. You know, one time I was worried about what my boy was going to be like kana akura and started by camp. I was praying about it. Mwari, I'm scared. I don't know what's going to happen. I know I'm not supposed to worry about what's going to happen then, but calm me down. Just help me to just get a footing on this. Then I met this, my husband actually, I met this young man. Got okay. And he just walked up to me and said, pen. And I gave him a pen and he didn't bring it back. I'm like, okay. I didn't talk to him, but there was something about him. I'll show you. Like, okay. Then we went to the service Manero. I know it was in the morning. Then I saw this young man. What shanga chitaka garabo. Simka nicheke garabo, simka ozoga, simka garabo. And I'm like,
during the service.
During the service. I'm like, that's the young man my husband was talking about. He was well dressed. Akatumbo gara for some time, akasimka akagaraba. But he was okay. Kwandiri, that was an answered prayer. I went to God, I'm like, okay. Thank you.
That was an answered prayer.
Thank you. Exactly. That's all I wanted. I saw him. He wasn't laughing on his own. He wasn't disturbing other people. He was he was well dressed. He was sitting down. She was sharing her experience. Oh, nowadays oh my God, it's a disaster. And we were laughing.
Okay.
And it calmed me down. And I was like,
so it was like God saying to you,
don't worry.
Yes.
You know, Kanasha, he'll be fine. You know. So that's how God has been there for me. Ndikaita a challenge if I get all stressed up about something that has happened or that's going to happen, you just get someone who comes just to tell you it's okay. Like my youth church, they would come. Today, and I'm not going to church.
Okay.
Things like that.
Wow.
And there's just sure I would spend than chasing. Then another youth, Mukomana is busy chasing Sisi outside. Visa kupane danger. No, Atipa, come back, sit down. You know, service your pair.
That support.
Exactly.
That support. It's reassuring.
Exactly.
And yeah, I mean, everybody needs that.
Yes.
Because, you know, some of the challenges that no sangana nazo, or a lot of challenges, sometimes all it takes is just knowing that some people understand.
Yes.
And they are with you.
Yes.
You know, you remember when Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane, anoti kuvadzidzi amaingokwanisa here kunamata neni mutoro wacho warema. So there's somebody out there maybe arikuti, I mean, if only people haasi kuti solve a problem yangu, if only you can just support and, you know, appreciate what I'm dealing with.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think you have really said something so important. Yekuwana diagnosis. Yekuti muchiti zvakakubetserai kuti this I know what I'm dealing with.
Yes.
It's the diagnosis that tinongoita tega chiti vabereki vacho vanoziva zvavakaita pamwana uyu. And what we may even be making it worse for vabereki ivavo. And munoziva kuti nyaya dzakadaika vanhu vanogona kutovengana mumhuri kuti hatichatoendi kwaba mukuru ndo vari kuita izvi and so on and so on. Saka zvinhu zvinogona kuva nemachallenges akawanda. Tiri kuti zvakakosha kuti tikwanise kunoongororwa nekunotariswa whatever health conditions it could be relating to this or others. Zvooneka kuti so, but how about the church? How can the church be of help? Based on your experience, is the church doing enough or are there gaps also?
I'll be honest. The church inobatsira on an individual level. A particular person takes the time yokuti maimvuta vati mwana wane autism. I have no idea what autism is. Let me go and research. They go, they research, they come back, they're excited. I read kuti, hey, so you have to do this. Is that what you're doing? It gives that support. Then you go to another level or another group of people. You try to tell them, autism. They don't care. They don't research. They just believe kuti mwana anofana kuroha, kuti mwana adzikame. And then that ignorance inotikuwadzisa tese, because you are bound to say things that are going to hurt me, and you are bound kuzotokonzeresa vamwe vanhu vatange kufunga negative about this parent who's struggling kuti abatsire mwana wake. And then I was very fortunate after receiving that diagnosis. I was even being invited to churches to present on autism and what the church can do. I found kuita burden yangu inini kana ndauya kuna Mwari, kana ndauya kuvanhu vaMwari. Mese monditarisa ndichistruggle nemwana. Ndoitonge ndinopenga. Most people vanopedzera varegedza kuya kuchurch.
Nekuda kwevana.
Nekuda kwevana, nekuda kweresponse yandopiwa. People are eyeing. They are looking at me. If an elder tries to reach out kuti abatsire mwana, madzimai akutotanga kutotaura zvavanotaura kuti baba ningi vari kungoramba vachingoti take take. You get it? It's now something completely different from what he's trying to do. So at the end of the day, everyone just stares at you. Uchita zvaurikuita. Havanoshuta mafilm. I remember one time, this lady, vaipinda a Roman Catholic. So you know the services, they are quite the same. Saka pachidyo paye kana pastor vaita zvavaita, akazvimasta, akasvika kanomira paside papastor. Pavari kudai. Arikutedzera haasi pake anything iye akangodai ari kutora chidyo achipfura, you know. Vanhu vakamufrustrata vakamuti mi munabata mwana. What is that? Zvangachita ari kudisturba maservices. She just had to take mwana vanogara kumba kuti kuchecha ndichaita sei
handichauya
and hakuna
anoteera ivo vanenge vachitoto good riddance.
But for me, church kwedu vanenge vachitoti musiyei anofarira like sisi vanofarira ma-long waves. Saka munhu anoya neweave yake akabatwa akagadziriswa akaita sei vaakutoziva Mwari kuti inini wig handipfeke kuchechi ingatodonhedzwa nati. You know, and we laugh about it. Yes, so they've been very supportive, I don't want to lie. Vanhu vepachechi pedu vanondida vanoda vana. Vamwe vanotomboti nhasi lunch chimboti pai, wozoudzwa after some days kuti gore riya randakati ngavauye palunch akazosiya aputsa. No, don't worry about it. We knew that
something like that could
happen. So it's not supposed to be yango problem. Kana ndatouya kuvanhu vaMwari ngatibatsirane. It can be just a word of comfort. You know, this one pastor was invited and palanjanzi was mwana angachingo mai vachona tinopinda navo here, and he's like, no, ane autism. I wasn't even there. Isusu tinota tongomujaira. There's a certain period yaanokwanisa kuita sei kugara, but mukaita ngema stretcher, he's now everywhere. Akumhanya achikwira achidzika achiita sei, but mukaimba anodzikama anototarisa, because my little girl can sing but agonotaura. Saka vanhu vanotozviziva. Pakainvitwa group anenge akagara mumaroom achisekerera achiratidza kuti I'm enjoying my music, you know, and which is a
can
good
sing
thing.
words,
can
verbalize words.
Jesus loves me,
but cannot talk.
Okay. Yes.
How old now?
She's 5 now.
Now she's 5.
Yes. So vanhu vekuchechi, that ndorutiziro rwedu. Yes, kana tatouya kuchechi tatouya kune vanhu vatiri kutarisira kuti vakazara nemweya waMwari, and they will understand what it is that I'm going through. Yes.
Thank you so much. Tinotenda zvikuru. Nguva yedu ndo yaita shanji. Otherwise tinotenda zvikuru. You know, you have such a rich experience and so many lessons and insights in different areas, education, the family setting, church, and you know, all these, I believe, kuti kune maviewers edu mumwe nemumwe ane chaabata, ane chaadzidza. Mumwe anogona kunge asina vana vane condition yakadaro, asi anogona kunge iri brother yake, anogona kunge kana kuti anogona kunge vari vazukuru vake, or some workmates or churchmates, and things like that. So Shamu is not everything.
No.
Mamwe ma conditions atori different, sezvamataura kuti mwana anotouya pauri ipapo haatozive kuprocessa kuti kurova uku saka zviri kurevei, you know, so because of condition iyoyo. So toda kutenda zvikuru ende tinoshuvira vana venyu kuti Mwari avakomborere, avaitire zvakanaka, nemereji yenyu irambe ichingosimbaradzwa, nechikoro chamakatanga Mwari akukomborerei, nevana vanouya ikoko kuti Mwari avaitire zvakanaka. Tinotenda zvikuru. Pari zvino tichakumbira kuti mutipo munyengetero zvikuru takanangana nevabereki vane vana kana kuti mhuri dzine vana vari autistic.
Yes. Ngatinamate. Kuna Mwari Baba vari kumusoro kudenga, toda kungokutendai Mwari nekuti munotizivisa zvinhu zvakawanda muupenyu hwedu kuti zvitibatsire. We thank you, Lord, for this time yamatipa. Tokutendai Mwari nekuti there are a lot of other parents variko vari kutambura makapa vana vakadai so. Tinoziva chikuru kuti Satani wakakandirwa panyika. Ndiye anoshuvira kuti tirwadziwe tichishungurudzwa. But we thank you for the hope in Jesus Christ. Kuti munotipa simba rekufesa ma-challenges. Batsirai each and every parent out there. Vamwe they are struggling with denial Mwari. Vamwe havasi kutoziva kuti voita sei. Vamwe vari kutsvaga zvikoro zvekuendesa vana ava. Vamwe vari kutoshaya mari yeraramo Jehovah. Ishe meet every child and parent at their point of need. Makazviita mukati meupenyu hwedu Mwari. Mukatiratidza Jehovah kuti in this struggle we are not alone. You are walking with us through it all. Fambai navo, vasimbisei, vapei tariro. Kuti after everything has been said and done, pamunouya Jehovah, our children are going to speak. Our children are going to walk. Our children are going to be able to relate to us Mwari. Tine tariro yekuya kwenyu inofadza. Batsirei Jehovah, tirambe takabatirira pairi. Tokutendai nemukana wamatipa wekuva nechidzidzi nekutaura ikoko, ende tinotenda nenguva yamatora kuteerera munamato wedu nekuti tanamata tichiisa zvose muzita raJesu Kristu tenzi wedu. Amen.
Amen.
Musandipfure tenzi, inzwa ndochema, apo madaidza vamwe. Musandipfure, muponesi, inzwa ndochema, apo madaidza vamwe. Musandipfure, ndipenyiwo wenyutsa, ndinokumbira, ndiri kupfukamira nekudawira. Muponesi, inzwa ndochema, apo madaidza vamwe. Musandipfure, ndinomusimbira Jesu, ndinokutsvaka, rapanyiwo moyo wangu kundiponesa. Muponesi, inzwa ndochema, apo madaidza vamwe. Musandipfure, muri tsime rangu tenzi, zvene upenyu, hakuchina mubatsiri asi Jesu.